Right, good morning and welcome back to the channel. Let's get the show started. And today we're going to have a chat about two new bikes that have just been released by Suzuki, and these really interest me. I think there may be some big sellers for Suzuki. So let's get down the road and we talk about them. Yes, thanks again for joining me. I do appreciate it. Some incredible views I'm getting on my channel at the moment. I'm absolutely chuffed by it. So thanks for everyone that's watching. Now, I did a video a couple of weeks ago about bike sales in the UK, and I did mention, among other things, I asked the question, was Suzuki really taking motorcycles seriously anymore? Certainly, at least in the UK. Well, they've sort of answered that question a little bit. We're going to go this way. Because today, well, a few days ago actually, I think it's 2 days ago, they released two new motorcycles, both based on the GSX 8S platform, the new 800 platform. And that, as you may know, it's a bike that I actually love. I did a road test on one last year, so just have a look at that if you want to. And I was mightily impressed with that bike. Love the engine, fantastic engine. The only thing that held me back a little bit was the looks. Well, Suzuki have certainly addressed that now, because they brought out two what they call retro styled models. Now we'll get into that in a minute. Retro style models based on that platform. Right, so we're in a nice little countryside area here. Now, in order to, just before we get onto the 8T and the 8TT from Suzuki, let me just talk about retros in general. Let me put a scale on the screen from 0 to 10. Now, 10 is the most retro bike currently available, in my opinion, and 0 is the one that's called a retro but almost shouldn't be, because it's not. So let's just see what we're talking about here. Now, for me, at number 10 spot, I'd have to put a bike, now there are others, but I'd have to put a bike like the RE 350 Classic, the Royal Enfield. To me, that is the epitome of this is a full-on retro bike. It may have only been designed a few years ago, but it's a recreation. It really is, and it's almost perfect in my opinion. Like it or not like it, 20 brake horsepower, that's irrelevant. Just in looks terms, it's an absolute faithful recreation in my opinion. So that's a 10 out of 10 on the retro scale. Oh, looks like we've got some ponies up here, or donkeys. Oh, it could be the donkeys from the field. So what would be the other end of this scale? Well, in my opinion, at the 0 position would be the Yamahas, the XSR 900. Let's put that one there. Now the reason for this, let me just go slow around these donkeys. The reason for this is because, to me, when I first saw these bikes, I thought, oh, interesting new design on the MT09. But when they said retro, I had to have a second take. I thought, a retro? What? I mean, it really is just the hint of retro, isn't it? Really, the only thing they've really done is strip all the bodywork off and put a round headlight on. That's basically it. So for me, the MT09, and for that matter the MT07, represents maybe the least retro of the retros. So let's put another couple of bikes in. First of all, the Bonneville. We've got to put the Bonneville in. It is the archetype of modern retro motorcycles. Now I would put this in at around about the 9 out of 10, maybe 8 out of 10. The T100, the T120, obviously designed from the ground up as a recreation, but also there's the odd hint to modernity there. So I just put it just below the RE 350 in terms of what a beautiful car. Old Rolls Royce there. I put that, yeah, at about an 8 or a 9. And then, as I said, there's lots of retros, but I can only pick so many. I'd also think the important one would be the Z900 RS Kawasaki. Now, where would this be on this scale? Well, for me, one of the most beautiful of all the retros, in my opinion. Fantastic bike. As you know, my friend Lee had one, and for me this will be somewhere around the 6, maybe 6, yeah, a 6. And the reason I do that is because even though superficially it does look like an older bike, when you look with any sort of closeness to it, you see, of course, the swing arm, the monoshock. It's a monoshock. It's not a twin shock. The exhaust system. It's not a twin exhaust. One either side. It's almost there, but it's almost a sort of a Goldilocks zone. It's almost spot on as a retro in many ways, as a modern retro, because it really does look like the old bikes at first glance, but then when you look closer you can see the modern twist. So Z900 RS, and then just under the Z900 is its little brother, the 650, the Z650 RS. And I'd put that, if you put the 900 as a 6, I'd put the Z650 as a 5, because it hasn't got the correct engine, and they just plonked the original exhaust on, which I think was a massive mistake. I think they really should have gone that little bit further and put a twin exhaust system on, or at least a single-sided one with a proper exhaust can on the back. I think that was a massive mistake there. So that's the scale, that's where we are. So where would we put these new Suzukis on this scale? Well, for me, they're certainly at the more towards the 0 than the 10, obviously. And in fact, I think they're pretty close to the Yamaha, so I would put them at about a 3, maybe a 2. And I'm talking specifically here about the TT rather than the T. The only difference between them, the TT has the front, the fairing and the bodywork basically, and the T is a naked version of the same bike. But going with the T, which I think is the most retro looking of them, and I think will be the biggest seller, I put it somewhere 2 or 3 on that scale. Now that's not judging the bike. I'm not judging it as 2. I'm simply putting it on a scale of how retro it is. So what are my thoughts? What do I think? Now, I haven't ridden the bike, of course, nobody has yet. Although apparently they're out very, very soon. They're going to be within showrooms within weeks, and I will be there and I will test ride one. But I have ridden the GSX 8S, as you know. I rode it for quite a while and absolutely loved it, and this bike is going to ride virtually the same, I would imagine, so I've got no qualms about how it's going to ride. It's going to be great. Wonderful engine. But have they gone far enough? Is the design aesthetically, is it a good enough recreation of a bike of its time? Is it a halfway house? Is it just a modern bike dressed in a set of frilly clothes to make it look a bit more retro? Or when you look at it, do you see an actual retro looking bike? That's the decision, isn't it? That's where people's opinions will differ. Now I must admit, when the first 5 seconds after seeing the pictures of this, I was so excited to see it. The first 5 seconds I thought, oh dear. And I think that was because I was sort of hoping it was going to look a little bit like the Z900 RS, or at least they were going to go that far in recreating an older looking motorcycle, and clearly they haven't. Clearly they've gone on the Yamaha route, the XSR route, and that disappointed me. But I must admit, after 10 seconds and 15 seconds went by and I saw the TT in particular, the one with the fairings on, I thought, actually, that is a pretty looking bike. That is nice. So I'm a bit torn. I'm not too sure where I stand on it at the moment. I think the important thing is I need to see it in the flesh. You always need to see a bike in the flesh, obviously, especially if you're talking about the aesthetics. So I'm not too sure at the moment. Please comment, please tell me what you think. Do you think Suzuki have wimped out a bit here and just bunged a few bits of plastic, on a modern bike, or do you think they've made a really good recreation of a 70s superbike? Or do you think it's somewhere halfway in between? I'm not too sure, but I'll be making my mind up when I test ride one in a few weeks' time. But it's certainly a bike that's caught the attention, no doubt about that. So there we go, that's all from me. Hope you've enjoyed that. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks for all of my new subscribers and viewers, and I'll leave you to it now. I'll get off down these lanes and have a little scramble around, and I'll see you in the next one. That's if I avoid all these horses, of course. Right, that's all from me. I'll see you in the next one then. Bye for now.